these things.
That we go into, we tell the people, lock the door, leave the place. It isn't even worth it for an exorcist to go in there.
Well, hello, everybody. How are we doing tonight?
All right. Good evening, everyone. How's everyone going? Boa noite to Brazil, and hello to the UK and everywhere else in the world. Thank you for joining us this evening. We do have someone else that we're hoping to get on, but unfortunately, she's having some technical issues, which is not unusual. But thank you for being here. Tonight, we're going to be talking about paranormal predators. Now, that may sound pretty exciting, but the reality is what we're actually going to be talking about are horror stories that are caused by people who take advantage of other people. Unfortunately, in this field, this is the Wild West right now, the paranormal research field. And we in the Warren Legacy Foundation are trying to instill a code of ethics that we hope will be adopted throughout this field of research. This evening, though, before we get started, I want everyone to introduce themselves, and we're going to start with the guy who's just known as Joe over here. Joe,
hey, can we get the short version tonight, please?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't put my whole name up there. I'm Joe Frankie. I've been involved in this work for nearly 40 years. Was involved with the Warrens and the Warren's family, Chris, and the work for 36 years. I started when I was 18 years old and still doing the work today, trying to carry on the legacy of Ed and Lorraine by, working with the Warren Legacy Foundation. That's all I got.
And Jeff?
Okay.
He's shooting from the hip.
I was going to say, I asked you for the short version. That was way shorter than I thought it was going to be.
Oh.
Yeah, my name's Jeff Schlochter. I'm the regional director for the Midwest. I have not been doing this as long as anybody else on here. I'm probably the newest guy, but I think I got a lot of experience and a decent head on my shoulder. I definitely learned from all three of you, and there's others as well that I learned from. And I'm in Ohio. I don't know. What else do I need to say?
Well, it's a good start.
Okay, that's a good start. That's probably a good ending, too.
And Father Kenneth Torres, Archbishop Kenneth Torres, excuse me.
Hey, everyone. My name is Archbishop Kenneth Torres, also a doctor of divinity. I am the regional director for the Spanish subdivision of the foundation. I've been with the foundation going on 3 years now. I've been involved with the paranormal for over 15 years. Medically retired veteran, former law enforcement officer. Now I'm a man of the cloth, and my goal is to educate and help the public with the dark cases, well, and more as well.
Okay. I'd like to first respond to somebody here, Claudia
Yeah.
Engelking Williams. If they're telling you they're from the Warren Legacy Foundation, please make sure that you check with us first. If you haven't sent us a request for help through our Google form on www.warrenlegacy.com or warrenfiles.com, then I don't know who that person may have been. But that is how we start working on cases. So I apologize that somebody was misrepresenting themselves.
And that's how we
Please
should
be
start
very
this topic.
careful. Yeah, it kind of brings us right to where we're talking about. Unfortunately, a lot of people come on board, a lot of people go out there looking for help because, they have something happening in their home. They hear footsteps in the hallway or things are moving around and they get scared because they don't know what they're dealing with. 99 times out of 100, it's probably nothing truly bad. Before we really delve into these horror stories, I want to point something out to you. A good rule of thumb: judge what is happening in your home by what is actually happening to you, not how you perceive it. In other words, has anybody actually been hurt? Yes, you see a shadow. Yes, you see a man with a sloped hat. But were you hurt? Was anybody actually harmed in any way? If not,
Mm.
then there's a very good chance that what you're dealing with is not actually negative. And it is only your perception that is making it feel negative. All right. So keep that in mind, because what happens on these cases, uh, you call out for help. A team may go in there, even the ones with the best of intentions, and they don't really know what they're doing. And they say, "Oh my God, it's a demon. No, we can't help you."
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, now you are terrified. You've got nobody to help you, and the phenomena starts turning negative. Now, it may be only turning negative because you're feeding it negative energy. All right. So that's really, really important for you to understand. And as Philip Wyatt is saying here, you know, what you think you see may not actually be what is actually happening. There's often, or even usually, a logical explanation for what's going on in a home. I have certainly far too many horror stories about families that have been taken advantage of, and many of them I worked on with the gentleman here. But before I go into my horror stories, I'd like to open this up to some of you.
I'd like to start off. I've got something prepared. For me, what is a paranormal predator? For me, I believe a paranormal predator is an individual or a team that uses the victim's claims to manipulate them, to extort them, to expose their clients to the public for financial gain or some sort of notoriety. So a lot of times, these paranormal predators are usually individuals that have ulterior motives with little to no experience. Sometimes they're just people that just bought equipment on GhostStop.com and want to use it. But with that being said, the caveat to that is clients can also be considered paranormal predators. They make false claims and allegations. They try to test other teams' methodologies and techniques. And they sometimes try to control the narrative so that they, the client, can hear what they want to believe is going on, sometimes not them knowing that it's a mental illness. So just got to be careful with these individuals and organizations because there are organizations out there like other teams and individuals that will use defamation and slander against you. So that is my definition and my interpretation of a paranormal predator.
Absolutely. And I agree with you. There are certainly overwhelming cases that we have where people will come to us because they are being troubled in some way. And it turns out that what they're being troubled by is their own mental illness. It's a shame, but it's a reality that this happens far too often. Many times they're actually happy to find out that that's what it is, and they do seek the help they need. But there are also quite a number of people who are so invested in this not being them that they will do anything to say that it's this other and outside of themselves, and that all of their problems are caused by this other thing. I see this everywhere. I'm in the United States right now, but in my time in South America, it's amazing how many people want to blame black magic for bad luck or for bad decisions or bad health. Yes, sometimes it is directed negative energy that does hurt people, but more often than not, it's simply life, and people don't want to hear that. Joe and Jeff, which of you would like to give your own bits here before we move on?
I'm going to address a comment here real quick because it's related. It is a good idea to note that just because mental illness exists at a location doesn't mean there's no paranormal activity. I absolutely agree with that. I do think people with a mental illness are actually more prone to have a legitimate haunting. So yeah, we're definitely not saying that if there's mental illness going on at a house that there's no activity, because I've found that to not be true. But sometimes people want a haunting so bad, and they send you all these pictures. Everything is, they want you to agree with what they already think they know. You know what I mean? It's like and if you don't agree with them, they end up walking. And I consider that kind of a predator type client. They just sit there and they argue with you and argue and argue. And if you don't agree with their picture having a ghost in it, even though it's, magnified 500 times, taken of a window and a glossy surface and their shadows, it's like, I can't say that's a ghost that you've captured on camera. And then they get mad and then they go shop for a team that will agree with them. So, that does happen a lot too.
Yeah.
Jeff, quick question. We have a Spanish audience. So we have subtitles available for StreamYard by any chance?
Will you guys talk and I will check?
Okay. I don't believe StreamYard does that.
I think it'll do it like in the replay.
Though, when it's on YouTube later.
Yeah. José y Zaira, desafortunadamente aquí no tenemos subtítulos, pero cuando hacemos el programa ahorita y está terminado, entonces ya usted lo puede ver por la noche.
If they go to the Warren Files YouTube channel after we upload it, that's where they can do it.
It is broadcasting live on there right now as well.
Oh, well then, go right into there and see if you can't click on automatic subtitles.
Yep.
Entonces ustedes ya pueden ir para el YouTube, los Warren Files, y entonces como ya estamos vivos, el YouTube tiene los subtítulos. Entonces váyanse por allá, por favor.
I would like to also say something that I've probably said far too many times. Something I learned early in my career. There are always underlying issues that make somebody vulnerable to a negative haunting. So absolutely, I agree with Denise, who is the one that made this comment about mental illness, and with Jeff. There are always underlying conditions like mental illness or domestic violence or drug abuse that can make you far more open to the paranormal and to a negative paranormal experience. Many times, those are self-manifestation. That doesn't mean it's not paranormal. Paranormal to me is something that's outside of what science is currently capable of explaining. And we are capable of creating a spirit-like entity with our own thoughts and our own minds that can then go out and create havoc like a poltergeist. Joe.
Let me interject 1 second. Claudia?
Yeah. Joe's not allowed to talk. You're right. Go ahead.
No. I just want, I don't want, okay. Speaking of paranormal predators, sorry, Joe, I'm going to cut you off. I was watching a show one time and some people were asking for help in the comment section of a show. And the host of the show did not give them any help or even acknowledge that they were making comments. So I just want to, I want to know, Claudia, if you are in need of help, go to thewarrenlegacy.com and click the Get Help tab, because like I said, I just don't want anybody to get missed in the comments and not get help. So,
and that's what we're here to do. We're here to help everyone.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
And yes, Claudia, also, I would also say here, you definitely want to make sure that they are checked out medically first. Okay. Just judging from the comments you just made on here, that is absolutely the first thing you do. And Philip, if you want to check on that, Philip is also a member of the foundation. Philip Wyatt. He can reach out to you, Claudia, and perhaps give you a little guidance. And Gabo, I apologize that there are no subtitles right now, but there will be when it's in replay.
Disculpe, Gabo, que ahora no hay subtítulo, pero ya cuando subimos el programa ahorita para el YouTube, ya por la noche, entonces va a haber subtítulo.
Okay. Now, Joe.
Well, I echo the comments of you guys. One of my biggest pet peeves, and I haven't been shy about talking about this, is the thrill seekers that are out there that will blatantly misrepresent themselves to get themselves invited into someone's home or place of business that may have alleged paranormal activity. And, then they find out, if there really is something to it, they're in over their heads. I think Chris mentioned that earlier. And then they don't know what to do. And, I'm dealing with a case now where a few months back, a group went into a home, private home, and there was some alleged activity there. And something happened that night that the investigators, so-called investigators, I use that term loosely in this case, that scared them. And according to the homeowner, they couldn't leave fast enough because they got scared and they left. And they wouldn't take phone calls. They wouldn't return phone calls. So the case was finally brought to our attention. I was able to get a hold of it and speak to the family. And look at some of the video and photographic evidence that was presented to me, and I didn't find anything that they should be afraid of. A lot of people, whether it be the client or the investigator, they seem to they want something to happen so bad they build it up in their mind, and it turns into what I say is psychosomatic. One of the first questions I ask people that come to us for help is, how many of these TV shows do you watch? And a lot of people are like, oh yeah, we watch this one, this is our favorite. And I'm like, okay, so that tells me that it's already in their head, and they want so badly and Jeff mentioned this earlier, they want us to come in and validate that they have something. I've actually had people say to me, well, geez, Joe, I don't want you to get rid of it. I just wanted you to validate. And I'm like, that's not what I do. I said, are you looking for help? Or are you just looking for me to come in and confirm that you might have a spirit in your home? And I said, no, we just think it's really cool. It doesn't really bother us. But I said, that's not what I do. Like I said, and I'm sorry I didn't introduce myself. I only put my first name up there. But for those of you watching that don't know me, I'm Joe Frankie. And I've been involved with this work for a very long time. Chris and I are great friends. I was invited by Lorraine and Ed Warren to be part of their team back in 1986. And I started studying under them firsthand. And I didn't know anything when I first started. Matter of fact, my first experience with taking a psychic photograph, I remember Ed turned to me and goes, Joe, you got to take the lens cap off the camera first. So I was so excited and nervous that I didn't know what I was doing, which brings me back to my point. If you're a paranormal team and you honestly don't know what you would do if you were faced with a truly demonic infestation, and they're not as prevalent as Hollywood would want you to believe they are. Okay, what they do is it puts butts in the seats and equates to dollars, whether it be a movie or a television show. And I know a lot of these TV shows are not very factual, and I'm being kind when I say that. Evidence is manufactured for your enjoyment. And usually at the end of the show, if you read, after the credits, it'll say for entertainment purposes only. The Warren Legacy Foundation is about for educational purposes. Okay, we offer help to those that may have a paranormal affliction, but we help everybody. I mean, if it is a psychological issue that we believe, we'll say, listen, we really don't think that you have a paranormal issue. There might be a psychological or some kind of physical issue or something in your environment, maybe an addiction to alcohol or drugs or, prescription meds, whatever it may be. We will try and find you help. We're just not going to brush you aside and say, that's not our department. Okay. but these predators will prey on people because they'll say, "Oh, this sounds like an interesting case." They'll get into the home and they're trying to get the money shot. They usually have social media sites. Some of them have a YouTube channel. They want to put this stuff up on the YouTube channel and hope that a producer will see it and invite them on and get their own television show. The market, the television market is just overrun with paranormal TV shows, and some of them are very well done, I will say, but others they don't truly depict how an investigation should be done. Everything isn't always hunky-dory at the end of the show, as they would want you to believe. You can't cram a 4-year case into a half an hour or an hour television show. Okay. You got to remember, when Hollywood gets its talons on these things, they take a lot of liberties with the stories. And we talk about it amongst ourselves because we are, I like to say, professionals in this field. And we're like, that's not how it really happened. That didn't really happen. Yeah, but it sounds better. Yeah, but you know what? If you tell the real story, many times, if not every time, the real story is more interesting than a made-up, conclusion or something. So I'm going to let my colleagues comment, but I don't. It's one of my biggest pet peeves is people that misrepresent themselves to get into someone's home or place of business, and they really don't know what they're doing. Their only formal, air quotes, education is watching television shows.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and let me please chime in right there.
Go for it.
If you're
Well,
learning from what you see on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, or the Travel Channel, you haven't learned anything at all. You cannot produce a haunting on a television production schedule. That doesn't exist. It isn't real. These things, and the worst part for me isn't even that. I mean, because most people, I think, have a grasp of the idea that this is entertainment. What really bothers me is when they go into an actual haunting, when they go online and they're trolling our sites, not ours in particular, but other paranormal teams, and they're saying, "Oh, look, there's a haunting there. Let's contact that family and see if we can go do a TV show there." And what they do is they go in, they ramp up the activity by challenging it, by disturbing it, by pissing it off, so they can get something. And then they walk away, and they leave the family devastated and in terrible, terrible pain. You want to talk about paranormal predators? Those are real predators.
I've got a good one that Stephanie would tell. Go ahead, Ken, and then I'll tell a good one that I know Stephanie was going to talk about.
Well, I was just going to say the same thing. Recently, myself and regional director Stephanie Treadway and a couple of other people, we were a victim of paranormal predators. So there was another director that reached out, and that former director, had a friend out here. I'm not going to say the state. Hey, we need some help. I have a family that's going through some stuff. So when we did the interview, things were off. Things just weren't making sense. You could tell that the afflicted, which was a minor, really wasn't truthful. So come to find out, we were assisting this other team that needed help with the client, right? And then we get a message, "Hey, we need you guys to sign these documents." And we're like, "What? What documents are these?" "Oh, yeah, it's for the TV show. Because as you guys were doing an intake interview, we were conducting our own TV show, trying to use your name." And we're like, no. I go, and I clearly identified myself as a board member, and I go, "This is unethical, and we're not doing it." So we could quickly drop the case. So that's the misrepresentation. So if we have people, I'd like to think that we are a wonderful professional organization. Obviously, we are without flaws. Every organization has its flaws, but we do the very darn best we can to be accurate, concise, and truthful and ethical. And I just don't roll like that. And so that's a prime example of paranormal predators. So the client lied to us. The client made their younger child lie to us. And then the friendship was tainted between that friend and the former director. It was ridiculous. Oh, wow. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Okay, Jeff?
Well, yeah, we had a case I think it's still ongoing, so I'm going to definitely keep it anonymous, but a client reached out to us for help, and she had had a paranormal team in there that had investigated her house, showed her photos of orbs, black masses, told her they had some crazy evil stuff in her house, is what they told her. So, absolutely scared the crap out of her, because they took what she thought was going on and they added to it, because they were good pictures, but they were absolutely faked, because those pictures they put on their website, it seemed odd to me that the same color, shape, and everything of an orb was at every location that they went to. They had the same orbs in the pictures, and same with the black masses and these red spots that they had in these pictures. So that's the worst, when they Photoshop this stuff and then give it to a client and use that to back up their claim that their client's house is haunted by something evil. That's bad. But it gets worse. After that, then they recommended them to a deliverance type ministry, where this particular ministry was ready to help them at like $250 a session. It would take a minimum of 6 sessions, and you had to pay up front. And
By the
this
way,
lady was so scared.
Please call that ministry out, because I want people to know not to go there.
I forget
Bob
the name of
Larson.
it. Stephanie would know it. Well, Bob Larson is one of them, but that wasn't it. It was
Somebody Bean.
Billy Bean, I think.
Bill Bean. It
Yep.
was a Bill Bean.
Yep.
So there's and there's also and here's another prime example of paranormal predators. I'm a man of the cloth, and I try to live my life the best way possible. So, but I took an online test, and apparently I'm possessed. So, but in order for me to get delivered, I had to pay some money. Interesting, because I don't know these things. I am an exorcist. I do run a seminary program. I have certain qualifications that will give me a better understanding of what I'm dealing with. But it just baffled my mind that you take this test and you go online. Hey, you are possessed. It sounds like you're possessed. So, look, just so you know, it's demontest.org. Okay, Bob Larson Ministries, and I'm going to call him out because I think it's crap, and I think it's balonious, and I don't care, because we don't charge anybody. Spiritual deliverance, prayer, ministry, to me, it doesn't matter what faith you are. There's a code of ethics. There's an ethics that you live by, and you should never, ever charge anybody for a prayer. So if you're out there and if you're a Christian Catholic and you want to talk, I'm a chaplain. I deal with veterans as well. Free of charge. Okay. Foundation, free of charge. We never charge for anything. So don't fall for these ministries where if you pay $1,000, you're going to get the legions removed from you.
Right.
Yep.
And here's another thing. I just want to give you a typical way this works out. A team goes in because you're afraid. They say, "Oh my God, it's demonic. We can't deal with it," and they leave. Maybe they've got the best of intentions. Maybe they're thrill seekers and they just wanted to get their 15 minutes of fame and see what they can see because they're interested too. Fine. But now you're terrified and you're going to go to one of these ministries and they're going to charge you $600 for a deliverance. And when it doesn't work, they're going to say that's because you didn't repent enough. So come back and pay us another 600 and then another 600 and then another 600.
Or you didn't drink enough holy water,
or you didn't
put enough oil. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a very typical pattern that unfortunately we had a lovely lady who had come to us, and the reality was, and I'll get to the end first. The reality was she was a woman with tremendous abilities, throwing off a great deal of energy because she wasn't in control of her abilities. And she had had psychic experiences all her life, but they got out of control. She called in a team. The team said that, yes, it's demonic. We can't help you. And they ran away. She ended up spending thousands and thousands of dollars going from one person to another, including this Bean fellow, trying to be saved. And of course, when she finally came to us, we were able to help her and didn't cost a penny. There's a fellow there's a fellow in London who has tremendous physical disabilities now. He had been, a very vibrant person. He had had a wonderful career on stage, and then all of a sudden he got hit with this, all of these debilitating problems. And yes, they actually are paranormal. I didn't think so at first. I thought it was all psychological. That people get sick. I was wrong.
This is our current running case that we have.
We've had this case for over a year. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it turns out, here's where the predatory part comes in. He was paying thousands to people to relieve these afflictions, and those people were actually directing more negative energy. First, they would help him for a day, and then they would direct that negative energy right back at him again, making it even worse, so that he would pay more because he got some relief, and then he would get hurt again, so he would pay more. And he, this is another form of a problem. When you go to a psychic and they say, "Oh yeah, you've got problems. Now you have to pay us more so we can help you," that's predatory. All right, and walk away from those people. You need help. If somebody comes to you and says, it's a psychic issue, and you pay us and we'll help you with it, come to us instead, please, because we'll do it for free, and we'll make sure that that's really the problem and it's not just extortion.
There's a related question here, and then the question is Bill Bean a fake or just not too honest? What do you guys think? Do you think he's straight up just
I don't know.
fake or
I don't know. I don't know, Matt. I would just say unethical. I mean, there's this notion that although we don't charge, there are people out there that they're trying to make money. And I don't know the guy personally. I don't know his character. But to me, I would just say it's unethical what he's doing. I'll leave it at that.
If you're going to charge $600 for a deliverance,
yeah, anyone that charges for this because it's something that's unproven, or it can't be supported. Like Chris just said, says, I just paid you $600 to exercise my home, and it's still here. Well, you didn't pray hard enough, or something like that, or you really didn't believe, and that's BS. And to charge people money for this help, I've never charged. Chris has never charged in almost 40 years of doing this work. I've never charged anybody. And I can tell you, my wife is upstairs. She can come down here and tell you I'm in debt because of it. Okay. Because we help people. There are good people that can do good work. But I'm telling you right now, and I'm not going to call anybody out by name, but there are groups, and just about everybody on this call knows a lot of these groups because they're in the public eye. And you see them doing, paraconferences and TV shows and interviews and in print media and everything. And they don't really know what they're doing. They just, a lot of people want to latch on to the Warren name and ride our coattails, and once they're, they latch on, then they start spreading that all over their social media sites. Oh, I'm part of this group. I'm part of this group. They want that name affiliation because they don't want to spend the 36 years doing the work and helping people. They want instant notoriety because they're looking for a TV show or they're looking for that cash cow, and you know what? Like Ken said, this is unethical at best, and it's something that really, perturbs me. I get very upset when I talk about it, but there are good people like us that know how to do the work. Collectively, we are experts. Okay. I don't know everything. I don't profess to know everything, but I know a hell of a lot more than most of the people that you guys watch on television. Okay. I personally have turned down TV shows. One of them was the show Ghost Hunters. And I'll say that publicly because it's true. Okay. I didn't want the television show. Okay, because I knew that they weren't going to be factual. There's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that you don't see. It's entertainment is all it is. Okay, and at the end of the show, they say, "Oh, the family's living happily ever after." That's not the case. That's not always the case. Okay, when people go in and they tell someone you have a demon, okay, you can't put the shit back in the horse. Excuse my French. Okay, now you've put in their head.
It's a family program, my friend.
Well, listen, I'm very passionate.
back in the horse.
We can't put that back in the horse now either.
You can't put the poopy back in the horse. Okay,
that's better.
Well, once you've told a family that is frightened, that has come to you for help, once you've told them, well, you have a demon here, this is what you needed to get rid of it, or we don't know how to get rid of it, or whatever. Okay, now that family is got it in their psyche that I've got a demon here. What do I do? I've got little children. Okay, and like Chris said at the beginning of the show, what's really happening? Are you just seeing shadows out of the corner of your eye or something like that? Or you have, physical manifestations of, objects flying around or levitating or people getting slapped or scratched or punched or bitten, picked up and thrown across the room. All right. I mean, that's all happened to just about everyone on this call. I've been physically attacked more times than I care to remember. And it's not fun.
Yeah, but whatever your wife does has nothing to do with the paranormal.
Oh, okay.
And it just adds another layer of stress. When we talk about the psychological effects, when you tell somebody that there's something demonic, the truth is, demonic possession is only 0.1% true. And there is a 1.5% chance of a demonic infestation. Highly rare. Think about that. 0.1% chance of possession and only a 1.5% chance of demonic infestation. So now what you've done, now the doctor's going to chime in. The doctor, basically, you've just added another layer of psychological stress on that family. What you have done now is you have probably taken that family to the breaking point. That was probably information that the family did not need to know, because that could have been the information that would push them to suicide or something even worse. We've had so many cases where we've had people that are dealing with extreme psychological illnesses. One of our former clients, triple schizophrenic, not knowing it, not even knowing it. We just recently found out. We've been dealing with this individual for a while. We worked the case. We did everything we could, and then you have other people before that. They're like, oh yeah, well, there's an incubus there. There's a succubus there. There's this and that. And it just, it's so unethical and it's so wrong. And I do want to go back to, I do want to say that, besides the foundation, I do believe that there are other good teams out there. And so if you're another team listening,
Absolutely.
please
there's tons.
don't take this as we're talking bad about you. Right. If you guys are out there doing the good work, we applaud you. I mean, and that's
but the people I'm talking about, you know who you are.
Yeah.
And if you're watching, exactly. Shame on you. You should close down your social media sites right now.
And they won't.
Okay.
And I'm actually going to call one out right now, not by name, but another experience. Now, talk about unethical. Here's a team that has a teddy bear that they believe is inhabited by the spirit of a pedophile. And what do? They take this thing into the home where 2 children have been murdered.
Oh, God.
To see what will happen with something called I think it's called an SLS camera. It's basically the old
Xbox Connect.
Yeah,
camera.
Xbox Connect.
Little stick figures
figure thing, which can be wrong a million ways from Sunday. I'm not a tech guy. I don't like tech. I'm old-fashioned like my grandfather. But they were provoking this thing. They were laughing at this thing. They were trying to get it to do something in the home where 2 children had been murdered. How disgusting is that? All so it could be on Facebook Live.
Yeah.
And
the sad thing is too, I hate to say this, there is a humongous audience for that kind of content though. Otherwise, because there's YouTube videos that are labeled, if it has the word demon in it, those are always the ones that pop up first, and those are always the one with the most views. I mean, it's like I said, there is an audience for it, and that's why they do that. It is very, very sick, though. I agree.
You know what? Word we will not use without overwhelming evidence, and even then, chances are we're not going to use it with the family unless they're actually under possession. Which, honestly, I'm an exorcist. I've only done 6 or 7 exorcisms in my life, and I've been in this field for 42 years.
Yeah, don't listen to people that say that they've done 200,000 exorcisms. We got a lot of people out there, and that's the issue I face too as a clergy. You know, I have to try to distinguish myself as an actual professional, because a lot of clergy out there right now that supposedly they're clergy and they're exorcists and they do all these paranormal things, but all of a sudden, you know, they're out there preying on people and, you know, oh, well, you're possessed in this. I've done over 300,000 exorcisms. I go, no, you haven't. No, you haven't. And for me, that's, you know, that's kind of the thing where I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, that's why I hardly ever post anything, because it's not my style. That's not what I do. Because when we help people, it's private, it's confidential. I did want to go back to another point on what I think is paranormal predators. And you've heard me say this before. The Conjuring House. I hate that. I hate the fact that people are always going to go to the Conjuring House. Maybe at one point in time there was something there and maybe it left. But the fact that people
and they're not going for free.
And people are continuously going back and using the Ouija board and
paying the
things
mortgage.
like so you know, okay, so you want to go back and you want to mess with spirits and you want to treat them like they're animals at a zoo. To me, that's another form of paranormal predator. I mean, if you want to do that, that's all you. I'm not judging you, but there, just know that, you know, there are consequences to that, and they may not happen right away. But everybody, you know, oh, I'm going to the Conjuring House. Good for you. Do you want to go? No, I don't. I don't have a need for it. I don't want to. I don't even care for Annabelle. None of that stuff, because the pain that we see. Well, Annabelle's behind you. I know she's the good one. She's the good twin sister.
That's the real one.
That's the real one. That's the good one. But the truth is, it's, if you are involved with the type of work that we do and you see the pain that the clients are going through, the fear, the anxiety, it would give you a different perspective on how we do this type of work and how you should conduct this type of work. It is deeply overwhelming every night, and it's a blessing too. I get to go to sleep every night with people's burdens on my shoulder. I have 7-8 different cases that I'm currently involved in right now, and they're all particular and different, but they're nonetheless, they're important to me because they are a family that is in need. And granted, there may not be nothing there, but I take that to heart. And if you're willing to carry on that burden, if you're willing to take a burden like that on, then power to you. If not, stay out of this field.
Mm-hmm. Let me tell you something. One of our main goals here is to help people, and as Ed Warren would always say, face your fears. We want to help people face and overcome their fears, not add to them. So we're not going to go in there and say, yeah, I think you got a demon here. I think you can move. You should move. You know, that would be completely irresponsible and totally unethical and unprofessional. You know, I mean, I'll tell you another thing. I would just watch a show just the other night on YouTube, and I'm not going to mention where this is, but this so-called paranormal investigator went out to this house that was supposed to be, you know, the most haunted house in America. You know, they all claim that. Why? Because it gets ratings. So the guy went in and nothing happened, but because he was set up by the owner, who was too scared to go in there with him, by all these stories of what had happened in the house, people passed away. Well, people pass away all the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
People pass away all the time. Just because somebody might have died in the house, even if it was, you know, a murder or a suicide, doesn't mean their spirit's going to live on in that house. And it certainly doesn't mean there's a demon living there. You know, but what this investigator did, you know, is, having walked through the house once. Now it was only about an hour program, 42 minutes without commercials. And he ended up, the owner was so eager to sell the house, he bought it. Okay. But he bought it with the intention of letting other groups go in and investigate, just like the Conjuring House. Mm-hmm. And they're charging. I don't know how much they're charging, but they're charging. Mm-hmm. So, you know, hey, if I had the money a few years ago, I would have bought the Amityville house. Yeah. You know, it was for sale. I think it sold for $850,000. But why? Why? There's nothing.
And if you do these things, just be careful. You know, that's my whole thing. You know, the idea of the foundation is to educate the public. You know, if you're going to go to these places, just be careful and be respectful. You know, for me personally, that's a distaste. I don't have a need to go into these locations like that. I don't want to provoke anything. I don't want anything attached to me. And there are people out there that are like, well, Ken, you know, Father Ken, you're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. Okay. I don't know what I'm talking about.
We mock what we don't understand. We mock what we don't understand.
Excuse me.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, Jeff, I didn't mean to talk over you.
No. Jeff, can you bring up Kelly's comment, please?
Yes.
All right. This Kelly is also a member of the foundation. And
Hi,
she's making an extremely good point here. All right. those footsteps you hear in the hallway are probably just your grandmother or the old lady that used to live in the house. It's her home. She's walking the halls because that's what she used to do.
Mhm.
You know, it could be a residual haunting, or it could be an absolutely beautiful experience
Mhm.
where someone who loves you is checking on you. And your fear, your misunderstanding of what's going on has now turned that into something terrifying. And
Mhm.
that's where you become vulnerable to these predators. Um, and then again, there are many people, because no life is ever finished. We all have unfinished business. There are many people who are looking for help when they die, and they hold on, and they try to come back just to get across that last message. I've shared this in the past. I don't think I've done it on the Warren Files, though.
Mhm.
I was engaged, and we got a house together. Her children and my son became a family, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, over the summer, she was being treated for bronchitis. Well, turns out it was cancer, and they misdiagnosed it. And from the moment we found out, it only took about a month and a half for her to die. And during that month and a half, she went through an awful lot, and we were separated. She wanted to be with her mother. She didn't want to be with me. You know, she had her issues, and I understand that. Believe me, what she was facing, that can put amazing stress on any relationship. But because of that, she did come back to me twice. The first was the night before the funeral. My grandmother was there at the house that night, and so was my mother. And my mother got up and was using the bathroom as I was getting this visitation from Diana, my fiance. And I was yelling for my mother to come to me because I needed somebody to witness this. And she just thought I was talking in my sleep, so she ignored it.
Mhm.
But Diana was saying, "Shh, it's okay. It's okay. Everything's okay. You don't have to say anything." That was her message that time. Wasn't good enough. Wasn't good enough by half for either of us. About a week later, I was woken up by footsteps in the hallway. She was a heavy woman, and her footsteps, I knew them. And when I opened my eyes in the pitch black bedroom, there was a mirror on the back of the bedroom door. And yet, even in the pitch blackness, I could see her laying in bed behind me, propped up on one elbow, looking down at me with a smile on my face. Now, my reaction at that point may not have been very logical. I closed my eyes because I didn't want to see her leave again. And she got right in front of my face. And she said very clearly, "I love you." And then she physically kissed me on the lips. And then she was gone.
Mhm.
That
It's
is
a beautiful story.
Yeah.
that is important. And thank you for your condolences. But honestly, I thank Diana every day today, because without those kind of experiences that I've been through, I would not be able to help others who are grieving the way I do now. I would say 25% of what I do is work with people who are going through grief or facing their own deaths.
And Joe and his family actually have a really good story too about a way that they dealt with someone that passed away. I was thinking that you were done. That's why I kind of cut you off. But
It's
Joe, do
okay.
you want to talk about that with your daughter and
Well,
the
I
book they
appreciate that, Jeff. But I have twin daughters that are now 23 years old, and they were very close to my mom. My mom passed away in June of 2021, and And my daughters never knew death before. They never experienced it firsthand, and they certainly never lost a loved one. My mom was very close to them, and vice versa. So my daughter one day had a vision. She woke up in the middle of the night, as she tells the story, and she just started writing on the notes section of her phone. She started typing a story, and my mom was Irish, very proud of her Irish heritage. Maiden name was Quinn. And my mom loved ladybugs. So my daughter actually turned her grief into a story, a children's book. That within 3 months of her waking up that night and typing the notes on her phone, within 3 months that book was published. And I'm very proud of her for that. And her twin sister said, well, she said to her sister, she said, I'm illustrating that book. So my other daughter, her twin sister, illustrated the entire book. And what that did was it helped them to deal with their grief. It's a very beautiful story. It was, the whole family got involved. I mean, I obviously my wife and I supported them. I helped her, with marketing the book and getting it out there, and gave her the best fatherly advice I could give her. But I said, Emily, this is your book. I said, it came from the heart. Anybody could write a story, but her heart wrote the story. And this book has, to all of our astonishment, has taken on quite a following, and she's invited to speak at schools, libraries, and stores. Oh, thank you, Jeff. That's the book. It's called The Ladybug Who Lived on a Four-Leaf Clover.
And by the way,
Ladybug is my mom.
You are bringing a copy of that for me, aren't you?
Oh, remind me. Yeah, I got to do that.
I just reminded you. You're going to see me in 2 days.
I know, but I'm going to forget 5 minutes from now.
I'll text you because I need one as well.
Okay. Wait, Jeff,
Yeah.
are you still there?
Yes.
He's there.
All right. Can you please bring up Sarah Gilbert's message?
Yeah, I was going to after.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, Joe, are you done? I apologize.
Yeah, no, I am. It's just, we all deal with grief in different ways.
I think this might be Cindy's granddaughter. I think Cindy said that, and this relates to a comment that she made. She's a member of the foundation, so I'm thinking
Cindy is, not Sarah.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me address this. I know I talk too much, and I should let others. I apologize. But my grandfather taught me that when you are dreaming, you are closer to the astral plane, and it is much easier for a spirit to communicate with you. That if those dreams are especially vivid and you remember them after you wake up, that was probably an actual visitation. They may not speak to you, they may be separated from you, or maybe they'll give you a hug. That is a way of communication. Smell is actually the sense that stimulates memory greater than any other sense. And absolutely, I have had these experiences myself. You will get that. You'll get the smell of lavender, for instance, when it's my grandmother, because that was her favorite scent. She's always around, believe me. So absolutely, Sarah, you can find that this is something that is very real. I was in Lima, Peru, doing an interview, as a matter of fact, and I had just related how my grandparents had shown up on several occasions. And the interviewer asked me, well, are they here now? And I said, no. And as soon as I said that, I got this warm feeling of being embraced. And I knew it wasn't my grandfather. Man never hugged me in his life. But it was definitely my grandmother. And the psychic that was right next to me was like, oh my God. She felt it as well. So yeah, absolutely.
It definitely can happen. A few years ago, I lost my older brother, and out in Puerto Rico. Unfortunately, he committed suicide. He was dealing with his own stuff, and he had always loved cigars. He'd always loved cigars. And there have been a couple of times, like when he's passed away, and I feel sad and lonely, and I'll get like a hint of cigar smell. And he used to play basketball, so there's some times when I'll smell a cigar smell, or I'll hear what's like a basketball being bounced on the floor, or like skirt skirt, and I know that's my brother, because he was a big basketball player. So we definitely get these visitations, and I love it. There was it Karen Renee? I was going to say, yeah, Karen Renee. She did say something. Maybe you could bring that up, Jeff.
Oh, she said a lot of things. So what are you talking about?
The science of degrees.
Yeah, I'll bring that up in a second. Let me add this too, though. In your guys' experience, have you so I mean, the theme of the show is paranormal predators.
Yeah, we often get off of that.
Okay, topic. I was just going to say, how many times have you seen mediums that are not so accurate go in and tell somebody that, oh, your deceased, grandma is here or something like that? You know what I mean? Like, I think that's a pretty common predatory move as well, for them to come in and tell you that someone's that is there that really isn't.
Yeah, it's sometimes they're dismissive.
Right.
I believe that if you feel like in your heart that's a visitation from your family member, who in their right mind should tell you that's not, or it's demonic? Right. I believe in your heart, if that's your personal encounter, if you feel like that was your mom or your brother or something visiting you, and if you feel right in your heart, then that's who it is. But you have other teams that are dismissive.
I'd like
dismissive.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. Excuse me, Chris, for just a second. I just want to echo that. One thing that Ed said to my wife lost her parents and two of her brothers within a less than 2-year period. And her father died of a heart attack. Her mother died of lung cancer. Her older brother committed suicide, unfortunately. And her younger brother passed away suddenly through natural causes. But anyway, my point is, when Laurel, my wife, whenever she sees a rainbow, I remember her mentioning this one day when we were out to lunch with Ed in the rain. And she's like, oh, there's a rainbow. That's my mom, my brothers, and my dad, smiling on me, smiling down to me and giving me a sign. And I remember Ed turned to her and said, you know what? If you think that that's a sign from your past loved ones, then it is. Who's going to say it's not? And that's what Ken was just saying. I remember Ed saying that. So when I lecture all over the place, I tell this story because there are people come up to me and they say, I smell my mother's perfume, or I sense my father's presence, or, I had a case once where we connected with a woman's mother via the piano. It was her mother's piano, and the piano would play on its own. And that was a beautiful experience. Not everything is demonic. Forget about the demonic, but that's what sells. That's why, What I'm just saying is, if you truly feel in your heart and your mind that something is a sign from a past loved one, it absolutely is. You just believe that.
Yeah.
And I'll stop.
I'll bring
because I'm absent-minded. Can we go back to that
Chris.
question again?
Yeah, I'll bring up Karen's comment.
No, your question, which was
let me hide this one again. No, it's just how many times have you seen mediums go through and give people a false, a very false reading?
Listen, even the best mediums,
mistaken reading,
even the best mediums get it wrong. I have worked with some wonderful, wonderful mediums who have caused tremendous damage because they got it wrong. They're the best are only right 70% of the time, and that's the best. I mean, you want to know if a person is true. By the way, most of the psychics in the United States are part of an actual syndicate. Keep that in mind. They are part of a kind of a psychic mafia. There are great ones out there. I know they are. I know there are great ones out there, but there are also a lot of ones that are fake. I would suggest, if you want to know if one's real, you go in, you say, I want to talk to my Uncle Ted or my Uncle Bob or my dad who died yesterday. All right. And make sure it's not true. None of that's true.
Yep. Yeah.
And if they are able to say, sorry, I can't help you with that, but there's an old lady standing behind you, she would like to say something to you, then maybe you should listen, because maybe that old lady is somebody who's actually there for you.
Yeah, that's
I have a question. I have a question for the panel. Talking about psychics, I actually was having this conversation with one of my directors and another member. And this is just my opinion. I believe that psychics are valuable, and I think they can be effective. but I don't necessarily agree that they need to be involved in every case. I have an individual that I've been speaking to that's a member, and they're like, well, a psychic needs to be available at every case. They need to be there. I go, no, they don't.
No.
I don't think they do. And I give my reasons, and this psychic in particular, let's say, and I asked the psychic a question. Let's say, for example, we are dealing with let's say a truly demonic case, truly Luciferian demonic case, split pea soup, but you're not Christian and you don't believe in demons and angels. So would it be would it be fair to assume that
Mhm.
if an entity came across, it would probably be lying to you? You probably wouldn't pick it up, and then they stayed quiet. Because from my experience, there are good psychics out there, but when it comes to really dark, true 0.1% demonic possession, if you're a psychic, and I believe that if you don't have a certain faith, any type of backing, I think that you can be misled, and I think you can be vulnerable. I think you can become a victim. And this happened to me a few months ago. One of my psychics got really, really ill just off a reading. So, what's your opinion?
Well, Chris, what did that psychic say today that you and I talked to about running into darker stuff?
Well, she doesn't want to.
Yeah, she says
She runs the other way.
And I think
I told her I'd protect her.
Yeah, I think a true psychic, if they came across something like that, they would know that that's not for them to deal with. You know what I mean? Because I've met psychics with egos. Yeah, she's one of the best. But I've met psychos too, where their ego,
psychics, not psychos.
Psychics, yeah. Well,
you might be right the first time.
You might as well.
But there was we met her at a convention. We met her at a convention, and she was telling us that she went into a garage and she kicked out 4 demons. And in the way she kicked them out was she just told them to leave. And I'm like, oh my God, you're joking, right? But I mean,
good luck, Michelle.
It was that easy.
Yeah, no doubt.
Somebody going out on an investigation.
Be
Make
safe,
sure you surround yourself with the white light.
Yep.
She's a good friend of mine. I have her on Facebook. She's a really solid individual. I like Michelle Allen a lot. She's cool.
By the way, the gentleman who's going by the name of Sean Pear is actually my brother. He's upstairs. So cut it out, Krishna.
I do have a question in Spanish from Gabo Perez. ¿Por qué podemos alguna persona percibir? Why can some people only see or feel presences and some others can't?
Oh, that's actually interesting. Yes, it's kind of like people with 20/20 vision versus people like me. There are people who are more sensitive, people who have better abilities. It's simply that. And people who are open to it. People who are very, very skeptical, who don't open themselves up to the possibility, are not going to experience it because they're not opening themselves up to that synchronicity and to seeing the signs that are there. There's actually something that I'd like to address here. I've noticed a lot of comments about deathbed visitations, about people awoken when a loved one died, or they're with their loved one when they die and they're talking to other loved ones. Absolutely very true. I mean, I can give off the top of my head, I can give you a dozen stories.
It's happened in my own family.
Yeah, absolutely. When you're dying, you are closer to that side, obviously, and the spirits are there waiting for you. It's a coming home party for them. They're there to welcome you. It is a joyous occasion when you leave your broken body and you go pass over, and they're there to love you, and they're there to help you to pass over well. It's like birth. Not death is like birth, and it should be treated as such. For us, of course, it's a sad occasion because we have to say goodbye to them, but it's only goodbye for now. But deathbed visitations for you, like you're the person who survives, and all of a sudden there's your grandpa sitting at the end of your bed telling you, hey, I love you, and everything's fine, don't worry. And then the next morning you find out he died. That's incredibly common. Incredibly common. So if you've had that happen to you, please believe in it. It's true.
It happened when Laurel's mother's passed. She was laying in her bed and she was waving. She was like this waving with a big smile on her face, and she's like,
Can't
and
your
she
wife
would
is
say,
in the back. Sorry.
She would say, I'm leaving in an hour. I'm leaving in an hour. And I think it was within an hour that she passed. But I just want, before I forget, Lisa, I see your comment. I am in Connecticut, so I'd like to know who that psychic is. If you don't mind, if you could PM me, I'd appreciate it. Send a private message. I'd like to know who that is.
I had a thing to add to this too. What about near-death experiences? Because a lot of times people that have those actually tell them that they run into a loved one that says, no, it's not your time yet, and go back. So it's not that welcome like you were talking about. The near-death experiences are the opposite. It's, nope, it's not your time, go back. That seems to be a pretty common occurrence with those situations.
When I went to the University of Connecticut back in the 80s, I studied with Dr. Kenneth Ring, who was a foremost expert on near-death experiences. So I was so lucky to work with him, and this was, back in 84, and there were 8 million near-death experiencers at that time. The fascinating thing is it's cross-cultural. It's the same experience regardless of what your religion is or anything else. Yes, some people meet Jesus. Some people have, hellish experiences.
That would be me.
I don't know what to make of that per se. But he did bring in people who had these experiences. The one that stuck with me the most, and I mean, I can give you, again, dozens of stories. The one that that stuck with me the most because it was so different was a gentleman who had died in a car accident. And as he was being resuscitated on the ground and next to his car, he had gotten out, he wandered around, and he walked up to a tree and he put his hand on the tree and he ended up melding with the tree, went into the tree. And he said the colors were like nothing he had ever seen in his entire life. And the sense of peace and serenity were overwhelming. But then there was something calling him back and pulling him back. Very, very, very often, absolutely, a loved one will be there and say, you can stay or not, or no, this is not your time. And you either choose to go back or they force you to go back. Because, the truth is, as long as you're breathing, you haven't learned everything you need to in this lifetime. There's something else for you to do, regardless of how hard that may be. There's a reason for you to be here. We're not here to be happy. We're here to grow. We're here to learn. Keep that in mind.
And if I was a paranormal predator, I'd say you're wrong, because all I just want to do is go out and investigate. I mean, and so what do we take with this information? How do we process all this information and understand more of what the paranormal is? How do we process all this information and help protect ourselves from paranormal predators? Well, folks, you're getting all the skinny right here. You're getting all the information you need right here.
Obviously, we've gotten off the topic, but you know what? That's what I like about this program.
It's all related, though. I mean, it's all related.
Yeah.
Because there are people out there but there are people out there that will look for any avenue to take advantage of someone else. And I think it's disgusting, especially in someone's time of grief. We say, I can help you. It's only going to cost you this. I'm having a blue light special this week. I mean, these people exist. We all know that. And it's disgusting.
Yeah.
That being said, I guess if anybody has any general questions about anything, it doesn't have to be about the topic. So go ahead and put those in the comments and we will answer.
If we've missed a question, then please ask again.
Yep.
I did want to revisit, I forgot her name. The one she had to mention that she has multiple science degrees.
I'll try and find that real quick.
I love that. And for me, that is awesome, because I do believe that science and faith can coexist. Because if we don't take care of our physical bodies, it's proven. It's proven. Karen, Renee, I love it. I have several degrees in science and psychology and find myself up in clients through education just as much as I do with the paranormal. That is a lot what we do in the paranormal.
Yeah, we educate.
popular or contrary belief, science and faith in the paranormal can coexist. It is proven if you do not take care of your physical body, it can affect your psychological state. And your psychological state will affect your spiritual state. And your spiritual state, once all that is out of whack, once it's out of tune, that's when you start seeing these problems arise. So I love that, Karen. Kudos to you. I love it.
I'd also like to bring, just address 3 different things right in a row, which is interesting. First off, Michelle Allen, I am sorry for your loss.
Yes, I'm very sorry too. I saw that.
Same here.
Yeah.
That's terrible. God bless you.
Yeah. And if we can, if any of us can be of help to you, please just reach out to us privately. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah, you bring up the dream journal, and I have to say, that's terrific. And if anybody wants to work on their psychic abilities, here's what you do. You keep a notebook by your bed with a pen. Have a night light on in your room. And the reason I say that is, as soon as you turn the light on, you're going to disrupt things for yourself, and you're going to forget what you needed to write down. But if you have a night light on, then as soon as you wake up, you write down quickly whatever it is that you need to write down from your dreams or from any messages you may receive, anything like that. And you will find over time that you start developing your abilities. And finally, is it Sherry? I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. It might be Cherie. I am not at all surprised that these earrings of yours were returned by your sister-in-law. That's the kind of thing that I've experienced myself. I understand that. You know, when somebody dies, they have ways of letting you know they're around. Like, for instance, the thing that everybody talks about is how my keys are missing, and I look for 2 hours, and all of a sudden they're right back exactly where I've looked 7 times.
I'm still missing my remote. I can't watch Bob Ross.
Thank God.
I'm so thrilled with all the comments that are coming through. It's a beautiful thing. Craig Porter just said science and spirituality finally coming together. The understanding of our energy grounding has been scientifically proven to work. And that's what I love. You are correct, Craig, because I believe that we are all a part of this wonderful universe. You know, my faith, I believe that we're all children of the Creator. And it doesn't matter what you believe in. It doesn't matter what your faith is. We are all intertwined and connected. So you have abilities that I don't, and you're out there trying to help understand more. And even reading these comments, it helps me understand myself. It's a beautiful thing. This is what I love about the foundation. We integrate everybody. Look at our logo. Our logo encompasses the beliefs from around the world. That means that everyone is all inclusive. We're diverse, and we are seeking the truth, because the truth is we don't know enough. We need to learn so that we can help other people. So, Craig, I love that. I love it. You got me started, brother.
And, you know,
thanks, Craig.
If anybody who's into the paranormal, study quantum physics. You want to talk about spooky? Right there. They're still working on the unified field theory, which will bridge the gap between Newtonian or physical world physics, you know, the macro world, and the microcosmic world of quantum physics, which means subatomic. I have seen quantum phenomena on the physical scale. I have seen it. So even though quantum physics currently says that's not possible, I have seen it. So I have to say that with time, we'll get there. You know, science is always growing. It's always learning. And right now, we just don't have all the tools we need in the scientific toolbox to understand the phenomena we deal with, because we can't replicate this phenomena.
I'm going to address Kelly's comment real quick. That's kind of how I do it. I like having psychics on an intake call, but I don't tell the client that there's a psychic on the call. And then I also, the psychics will never say their psychic impressions, or usually, you know, unless it's really, really urgent, but that's very rare. But I mean, most of the time they will not say what their thoughts and feelings are on a case by being in on a phone call. So I love having them on. I just, you know, I like it when they just keep their mouth shut, you know, as far as their psychic impressions.
Right. They should not share until they speak with the team afterward.
Yeah, me and Stephanie today, we did an intake interview, and we had a little side chat going, with her psychic impressions, but it wasn't in the intake interview itself. So, that's her way of telling me without letting the client know, because like you said, if you're a psychic and you're going to tell somebody something, you better be right, because if you're not, you can really, really create a lot of problems.
Amen.
Yeah. The same thing here. I try to take that approach as well as a priest, right? So if there is this really supposedly dark demonic case, like I'll go on the call. I won't even I'll just say I'm Ken, regional director. I won't even identify myself as a priest. I won't wear my collar if I think it's like really true demonic. And if it really is demonic and it has the intelligence of the ages, whatever, it would know that I'm a priest.
It would know who you are.
Yeah.
And it's important too, because we carry authority. When people come to us, they trust what we say, and if we say we're a psychic, they may trust us even more. So we must be extremely careful about what we say and how we say it.
Yep. Yeah, just a couple of the members chiming in with that are actually have abilities and how they handle it. So
yeah, Aurora, absolutely agree with you.
Yep.
Hi, Aurora.
Let me say something about Aurora. Aurora is a wonderful person. She is so gifted. I love talking to her. She is so sweet. So I'm so honored to have Aurora as a friend.
She's my favorite.
She's Team Canada, by the way.
Yeah, and even Nicole Gaspard, Nikki. She
gotta love the Canadians. I love their bacon.
Nikki has developed so much as well. She came in and she's learning a lot, and she's progressed significantly well. Yeah. So Nicole Gaspard, actually, we did an intake interview, and she took some of the darnest best notes that I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
So kudos to all of our members that are in here. We value our members. We love you all.
Say, Lisa, just PM me through Facebook, I guess. Private message me, Joe Franke, Franke. I think there's only one of me. Well, my son too, but you'll see my picture there.
Oh no, there's only one of you, Joe.
So let me ask you.
My wife's leaving for work. I gotta blow her a kiss. Bye, Mama. Everybody says hi.
Goodbye.
Hi. Bye.
Okay.
So going
Drive
from
careful.
here.
Love you. Bye.
So going from here as a panel,
I keep Mama happy.
How now do we ourselves? Let's say we weren't this panel. If I was a regular person, what would I do?
You're not a regular person.
Well, let's say we weren't these investigators on here. How would we identify paranormal predators from a non-foundation member perspective? What are your thoughts?
I guess I'll go first, because my answer is pretty quick. Is that really? I think one of my stop it, Joe. Be nice.
Sorry.
I
say that out loud.
Yeah, you did. I really think that I have the gift of discernment as far as when it comes to people. So I really think that helps me determine who's valid, who isn't, who, I've even gone to churches and been like, oh my God, this is just, this church is crap, and gone to others that are, oh man, this is legit, so I've always had that gift with me, and that helps me to determine who's a predator and who's legit. So.
No, it's true. I mean, we all have different gifts. I mean, I feel the same way too. We have the same faith, although we have, different traditions.
And that being said too, I even with that gift of discernment, I still like Joe. So that must.
Yeah.
Hey, show him the sign, will you? Show him the sign.
I'm wearing it for crying out loud.
Okay.
I pinned that. I got to take that off. That's hurting my neck. Sorry, Joe.
It's hurting my eyes too.
Hey. People love me. God.
Hey, we got people in the chat that want to
Father.
buy your shirts. So you're more popular than you think.
By the way, Nicole Gaspard has a program in about 40 minutes. She's wonderful. So you guys should check that out as well. She's out in California, so she's on a totally different time zone. Thank goodness for her.
We're only 6:20 We're only 6:20 over here.
Flare, but send it to me.
Okay.
Sorry, the author is here. It's bugging me.
See, look.
Emily, I got to bring. I need a book for Chris.
Yeah,
Ken.
Yeah.
A signed book.
She can't hear you. I got you.
A signed book.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
How'd you hear
Sorry,
that?
guys.
You psychic?
Huh?
She must be psychic.
Come here,
She that was wow. That was pretty remarkable.
Hi.
This
Hi,
is the
everyone.
author, Emily Frankie.
This is me. Nice to
All right,
meet
so I
everybody.
told her, or you got to give them to me so I don't forget them.
Yeah, just let me know. I'll sign them all for you guys. It'll
Thank
be
you.
famous one day.
Hey, go ahead and add. How can people buy the
Bye,
book?
guys.
Because we
Oh wait,
definitely-
how can we buy the book?
Here.
What? Oh, hold on.
Put those in. They want to know how they can buy the book.
Hi.
How can we buy the book?
Oh, hello.
Tell them how they can buy the book if they want it.
Oh,
Quickly.
I have a website. If you guys want to go on my website, that's where I personalize my author copies.
Okay,
Which
because
is
Nicole wants
where?
to buy a signed one.
It's so if do you guys have a piece of pen and a paper? It's just www.emilyfrankieauthor.com.
That's easy. We can probably put that up on the screen.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you don't mind doing that, that way you guys could just have a personalized copy and I'll ship it to you with a nice little thank you note.
But I'll bring one for Chris because he already bought one.
Yeah,
and
Chris. No, Chris, you're good. Don't worry. I'll give that to my dad. But everybody else, I appreciate your support. It means so much. This book literally means so much to me. Of course, to my dad, to my whole family. So thank you guys so much.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
So this is what the foundation is all about. It's about family. That's really what it is.
Yeah.
It's all
And I
about
like to-
family.
And I like to see younger people take initiative and actually do something like that. Like that's that's a pretty brave step for. I mean, and I
Well-
say young, but I'm old, so.
Well,
She is young. She's very young. She's amazing.
I mean, it's hard because it was like my first significant loss, and I was very close to my grandmother, so I wanted to not only help myself but others deal with grief and loss in a positive way, and just to remind them that your loved ones are always with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And
what,
it's a good.
What other way to do that?
Yep. And that could be very useful for, let's say a kid has lost a loved one. That's a good book to give to them to, help them deal with it and explain it to them. Because
Emily,
that's hard
didn't
to.
you have an experience with a ladybug recently?
Recently, yes, actually, I do.
Yeah, I saw a post on Facebook. Can you share it?
Yeah, well, so I've had a few actually. So one of my biggest ones, I was very fortunate. I was able to get interviewed on the news. I was on Better Day, Connecticut. Melissa Cole was very fortunate to interview me. And I had gone to this park where I had my graduation party for my high school, where my grandma was actually present at the time. And it turns out that the seat that the cameraman had told me to sit at, it was a ladybug right there. And I said, oh my gosh, that's grandma. She was here with me at my graduation party, and she was here with me today. So days on, especially when I'm feeling more sad, there are a lot of days where, everybody gets that moment where you're having that grieving day or you're feeling upset. I go to her cemetery, I'll read her the book. I am going to a school on Friday. I'm going to be reading to 200 plus kids. So I'm very excited about that. I have another book signing on Saturday, which again, I'm very excited about that.
Where's that?
That's in East Haddam. It's at 2 Raslin Cats, right in East Haddam. It's a nice coffee shop. They have cats there. We love cats. We have many, don't we? So
rescue. I'm going to heaven.
So yeah, there's a lot of cool information. I've been very fortunate. I already have my book in a lot of bookstores, which is wonderful. I have one in York, Maine, which is incredible. That we grew up vacationing there our whole lives, and my grandma, she used to live in Maine, so that was just another special place. And I feel like there's just no other reason to explain that this is happening except that it's meant to be.
Amen.
So thank you
That
guys
is the
again
correct-
for the support, and yeah.
That is the correct site on the screen, correct?
Say it again. Emily Frankie, author. Let me see. Where's the
.com.
Oh, perfect. You got it.
Okay, good.
Emily, quick question for you. What would you say to a person right now that's dealing with loss? What do you think are constructive ways for them to help deal with loss?
So the best way that I would say how you deal with loss is, first and foremost, there is no time period on grief. Please don't ever think that you need to heal within a month's time, 2 months, a year. There is no timeline on grief. If there are moments, there are days where you're having a hard day, pray. I like to pray. Go visit the cemetery, go do something, a positive memory in honor of your loved one who has passed away. I also like to write, which again, why I wrote this book. I think, especially for children, I think it's very important to honor the memory of your loved one. So if that's something as maybe singing a song they used to love or lighting a candle that was their favorite scent, I think reminiscing on those good memories.
Picking 4-leaf clovers.
Yeah, picking 4-leaf clovers. Going to look for ladybugs and setting them up to heaven. I think that's definitely what has gotten me through the loss of my grandmother. Is just keeping those positive memories, reminding myself, and the recognition that I've got just from people who have messaged me and thanked me. These are conversation starters for children who their loved ones haven't even passed yet. I've had people message me and said, "Thank you so much. It's going in a memory box when I pass away." So what I'm doing for people and across the country is phenomenal. I just spoke to somebody from the UK. Somebody from London just bought a book for me. Their father passed away. They see him as ladybugs, and they thanked me. They messaged me and just said, "Thank you so much." And that's all that matters to me, is that I'm helping others.
Yeah.
Sound like your dad,
sweetheart.
Well, yeah.
That is.
I didn't hear him. I hope I know.
Joe, you have an amazing daughter. Wonderful.
Well,
You
he
can
said
tell she's raised right.
I'm amazing.
Yes.
So
Takes after her mother.
well, thank you guys so much. I'm going to give this back to him. But
Right.
it was nice meeting you all, Chris. Again, it's always a pleasure.
Yeah.
But definitely, keep me posted. And if you guys want to order, please do. I'm heading to the post office soon. I got a lot of orders, so I would love to sign you guys some books.
Thanks, sweetheart.
Awesome.
So thank you guys.
Well,
Take
sign
care.
one for Ken and sign
Thank
one
you.
for Chris.
Thank you.
Say it again.
I said sign one for Ken and Chris.
I will. I will.
Jeff already got
Here.
his. All right, thanks.
Bye,
Hey,
guys.
Mr. Haunted. Hey, Mr. Haunted. Welcome to the show.
Jeff, can we pull up Dennis MP's comment here? She says one more type of predator, those that will certify or promise to teach metaphysical abilities for huge sums of money.
how far up? Okay.
Yeah,
I found it.
you know
What's
how
wrong with
much
that?
it drives me crazy how so many people are going to say, well, I've got 75 different credentials because I got them all online.
Yep.
Yeah, but who did you get them from? That matters. Who are you learning from? Make sure that their credentials, their bona fides are worthwhile. And if they're charging you an arm and a leg for it and you don't actually get anything from it, that's garbage. And believe me, I know people who collect these online degrees and tout them constantly. But
I just
how
wanted to
much
say,
of it
God bless
actually-
you, Sherry. Sherry, I saw her comment. I'm sorry, Chris.
Okay.
Her sister's got cancer.
And I see it too, as well. From the clerical side, I see people. They're like, well, take this exorcist training class for $3,000. I'm going to teach you how to become an exorcist. I'm going to teach you how to remove demons, how to do all this, and for me, it's blasphemous because I grew up with the faith. I went to church, I went to seminary school, still studying, and for me, it's a personal thing. I feel like it's a calling, and you definitely don't want to go toe to toe with these evil entities, but people are teaching you how to become an exorcist online so that you can get a certification or you become a part of this organization of exorcists. I'm not going to say. And you get to go to houses and you get to exorcise people. Come on now. Really?
Elizabeth Gardner, please contact us privately and
Yeah.
we'll be happy to speak with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll type the website in the comments. You guys go ahead and chat.
Okay.
I saw
Don't-
Jimmy in the
don't
room,
believe them.
Mr. Haunted. Hey,
No.
Mr. Haunted.
Whom?
Jimmy Pettotino.
Oh,
Pettotino,
Jimmy.
Mr.
I didn't
Haunted.
see his. I didn't see
Jimmy,
him come up.
yeah.
Hey, Jimmy.
He's so funny. Mr. Haunted,
Jimmy,
he's so funny.
you stole me lunch.
And Cindy, absolutely true. Absolutely true. There is no time limit. on grief, especially when it's a child that you love, especially that.
Well, and a lot of these things that we're talking about, these are tools that, and even advice that we give our clients. Write your feelings down. Talk to somebody. Process grief. Many of the activity that happens, and the unfortunate part is that you have these paranormal groups that don't allow people to process grief, that don't allow people to have this personal time with them, and they just use it as a tool to exploit them. Take that time to grieve. Take that time to process things. If you hear a noise, it's probably not a demon. Don't be quick to contact a paranormal group just because you heard knocking on the door. There are a lot of good groups out there, but in my experience, there's a lot of people that are worse, and they will take your personal experiences and they will exploit you, and they will make things worse for you.
For personal gain.
Also,
Yeah.
if you've just lost someone, don't seek a medium right away. Please wait
Mhm.
at least 6 months to a year. And
Yeah.
that's not for you, it's for them.
Mhm.
All right. And a reputable medium is only going to work with you once a year at the most, because they don't want you to become dependent on that contact. Plus, your loved one isn't just sitting around waiting for you to contact them. They've got work to do themselves on the other side. They've got a whole other life, and they have to move on with it. And if you become dependent on that contact, then you haven't learned the lesson that death is supposed to teach you, which is love while you can. Show that love. Death gives an immediacy to life that's necessary. Um,
Mhm.
it teaches us a very vital lesson. And if you've made the mistake of not letting your loved one know that you love them, yeah, of course you can say it to them and they'll hear it. It's not the same. I know that. But learn from that and make sure you don't ever make that same mistake again.
And there was something you had mentioned a while ago, Chris, and it resonated profoundly with me. And you basically, I'm paraphrasing. When we are grieving for a person, we're grieving for ourselves, not for that individual.
Right.
Could you clarify that, please, for the audience?
Mhm.
Well, what I've said is very similar to that, which is basically, it is a selfish thing when we grieve in a way. And I'm not, don't get me wrong. I have grieved tremendously for years. But we're grieving for our loss. We're not grieving for them. They are perfectly fine. Matter of fact, they're better now. Um, Dying can be hard, but death isn't. Death is the simplest thing in the world. And when you're dead, all you've done is left the broken down old car that wasn't serving you any longer.
When it really gets hard is when it's untimely and unexpected. But God has a plan for everyone.
Amen.
You never know when it's your time. But when you're called, you're called. But it's hard for us as human beings. Chris, you and I have had many conversations about this, and you've talked sense into me because I did grieve recently for my mother. And, she's all I had left, as parents go,
Well, as
but
parents,
it was
though,
tough.
yeah, because we just met one of your two daughters. And
Yeah,
you've got
no, it's, my mom was, the matriarch, and, my dad had passed away in 94. So, and Laurel's parents had passed away many years ago as well. So it was tough for me. I thought God spare me the day, but I knew the day was coming, and I know she's in a much better place and she's not in pain anymore. So I need to be happy for her. So I've grown in that regard myself. Thank
My
you.
mother passed away in '97, and I still miss her. And there are times when I think about it. She wasn't a prominent figure in my life. My mother was a really deeply tormented woman. She was addicted to drugs. Um, my grandfather, her father, actually used to put her in the streets. She used to run the streets. She was a prostitute. He raped her. He pimped her out. He gave her HIV, and I was, as a result of that, I was a drug baby. And so my mother never really got to get clean. But the final days of her life, I was able to get some closure. And although she wasn't there, and when she passed away, I felt it, and I still feel my mother around. I don't think we'll ever get over it, but I do think that time does heal wounds a little bit, and it does get easier.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah. Well said.
do you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
It, No, for me, guys, is all the years that I've been involved in this work and all the cemeteries I've been in. But I got to be honest with you, it's hard to go see my parents' name in stone, because it's just so final. As far as being on Earth, I know I'll see them again someday. That's what I believe in my faith. But it's hard to see, your loved one's name carved in stone. But I know they're not there.
Yeah.
I know they're not there.
I don't understand why people. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm donating my body to science. It's just a car. I don't care.
I'm donating my body to science fiction.
But
reptile research.
People, spirits don't haunt their bodies.
Oh, God,
if you go there for an EVP session or whatever, the only reason you're getting a result is because you're there. The spirit comes to you because you're calling on the spirit. They're not hanging out to see their corpse. They don't care about it. They're going to be the place where they felt most comfortable in life, or they're going to be with the person that they love, or they're going to be on the other side until you call on them. There was a question about people who charge. This is Rosanna. She's a new member of the foundation.
Hi, Rosanna.
Hi,
Rosanna.
I don't know what to say about that one in particular.
Welcome.
I mean, if somebody's contacting a team and saying, we've got this haunted property, we can't sell it. Personally, I'd just cleanse it if they asked me to, and I wouldn't charge. But if somebody's making a living that way, I don't know what to think about that. It's not about a family. It's not about that. So
I would think if you look somebody up and see that they charge for that service, I think that's fair. But for them to come out and cleanse it and then say that'll be $75, I mean, I don't think that's cool. If you seek them out and you see that they charge for that and you agree to pay that and have them come out, then that's one thing. But that's just been my take on that always.
Well, it's just like for me, I charge for weddings. When people want me to officiate their wedding, I charge for the wedding. I'll charge for a funeral. That's a completely different thing. So if you're making your business like that, I don't really see a problem with that. I mean, if that's how you make your bread and butter, I don't really see an issue with that. I think if you just approach it with an ethical and a logical way, I mean, that's kind of a gray line because, we don't charge in the foundation, but at the same time, we have to take ourselves out of the element. What if we are not doing a foundation case? Foundation cases will never charge for cleansings.
Good for you, Jenny. I see that.
Yeah, but if it's an individual, I think it's okay. Yeah, maybe. I don't see a problem with it.
I guess it depends on the circumstances. I'd have to take one on a case by case basis.
Yeah,
it's not just a blanket. It depends. It would have to depend on the situation. So I'll withhold comment depending on the situation. I just wanted to thank Jenny. Jenny said she went to a private home today, and the people asked them how much. I assume how much she's going to charge. People are maybe they're just used to it. Maybe they've contacted other people and said, it's going to be $1,000. Anybody wants to charge you for that kind of stuff, run. Just say thank you very much. I'm all set.
Right. I've had situations though where I've said, like if you really feel like you owe some money, just give to a charity or something like that. Like I won't take their money, but like
expenses are something different though.
Yeah, that's different.
Expenses are different.
We've never done it yet, but there's always that possibility in the future where we will have to ask for travel expenses.
Well, yeah, if we got to get on a plane and fly to New Zealand or something, that might be an issue. But
that's
none
Monday.
of us are. None of us but Jeff are independently wealthy.
Yeah, right.
Actually, Monday I am flying to New Zealand.
I know that's kind of why I said that.
I know. I meant for the audience. Yeah, so I'm on my way to New Zealand.
What are you doing out there?
I will. Well, you know what I'm doing out there. You're just
actually. I don't.
Setting me up.
They won't tell me.
Oh, I thought you helped me do the promo video.
Yeah, they won't tell me exactly what the event is, when it is.
Oh, well, I'm doing a lecture, and then I'm being told that there's also going to be a night where we're going into a safe haunted location. and we're going to be checking that out as well. So it should be fun. There'll be a couple of we'll be on the media promoting the foundation, which is important. That's really what this is all about, is getting the word out there so we can help as many people as we can. The foundation actually has 4 goals, and this is something I want to share with everyone. Number one is to help our clients. And we do that anonymously, and we do that for free. Anonymously is really important because there's another type of predator out there, and that's the one that just wants to publicize everything.
Ego.
Yeah.
There's no place for ego in this. And I just wanted to, I'm sorry, guys, I just want to finish a thought about charging for expenses. That doesn't mean if a family needs help and they cannot afford to pay our expenses, that I wouldn't be there in a heartbeat. If a trip to the home, if a trip to the home was necessary, we would find you help. So we would not turn our back, say, "Oh, you can't pay us." No, we wouldn't do that. I just wanted to be clear on that.
Right. Yeah. Right. But number 2 goals of the foundation is to educate the public, which is exactly what we're here doing tonight. Number 3 is to educate the next generation of researchers and instill our code of ethics in them. And we're working on doing that through a teachable platform, but we also mentor our new members and help them to understand how we do what we do. And number 4, and this is important for the psychics in our audience, we have 2 psychic support groups online. This is not a place for people who are interested in learning to be psychics. It's for people who are actually believing that they are psychic. You're not going to get free readings. We don't do readings in these groups. One is in English, one is in Spanish. This is something my grandmother used to do. But now we've got about 1,000 people around the world. So it's not something we can do one-on-one. Those are our goals, our main goals. And if you do need help, please let us know, and we're there to help you.
That actually leads into an interesting kind of phenomena in a lot of the cases that I've seen too, is that how many cases have you guys been involved with, like in percentage wise, where someone in the family is gifted and just doesn't know it or know how to deal with it? That happens so many times.
Yeah. At least 10%.
Yeah.
10% doesn't mean number 10%. I was about to say 10%.
They don't know how to control it. They don't know how to block it. Sometimes it scares the bejesus out of them. They don't want the gift, but they still need to be trained how to block it.
Right.
And especially kids who are on the spectrum as well, who are autistic. It's been my experience that these children are highly gifted and they have a lot of abilities. And so, as they're growing older and they're going through puberty, a lot of the feelings are uncontrolled. So that itself can manifest poltergeist activity. So don't fall for the team coming in and saying, well, your son is possessed by a demon. It doesn't work like that. Just one of those tactics that they try to deploy.
A lot of people
have to roll everything out.
I apologize.
No, I'm sorry, boss. You're good.
Stop calling me boss. Anyway,
I'm his boss.
A lot of people think, oh my God, I've been haunted my whole life and they'd never leave me alone. What you don't understand is you're probably a high level empath or even greater, and they are attracted to you. It isn't that you've been haunted by some spirit your whole life. It's that many spirits keep coming and going in your life because your aura burns more brightly than a normal person's. You are special. You are gifted.
So, Chris, do we help people like this? I mean, it's non-members that are in these psychic groups, correct?
Absolutely.
How do they find them?
Well, the Warren Legacy Psychic Support Group, and then the one that's from the Spanish is, what is it, Ken?
Grupo Psíquico de la Legacia Foundation, Warren.
Apoyo,
look for it right now.
I know Apoyo is part of it.
Apoyo Psíquico de la Fundación Warren.
Okay.
And I'll share it to Jeff right now.
Right.
Give it to him.
Oh, Nicholas, cut it out, man. I'm not El Jefe, okay? By the way, Nicholas Rodriguez is one of our members. He is in Uruguay, and I as I said to him, I think it was this morning. He's our sex appeal for South America. He could be our poster child for recruitment.
Yeah, Nicholas is awesome. He's out in Uruguay. He's one of my guys. Love him to death. Great researcher. He's definitely moved up fairly quickly because he does have experience, and he's very meticulous in how he performs his investigations. So very lucky
By the
to
way,
have him.
if anyone's wondering what I'm doing down here, I'm working out while we're talking. My girlfriend wants me to exercise, so I'm just whatever.
I'm watching Bob Ross.
We're all watching Richard Simmons, it looks like.
He's still alive?
No, I was talking
Isn't he?
about Chris. Oh, I don't know. Actually, yeah, I think he is.
Yeah, I think I just saw a post, and he does not look that good.
No.
Not
I'm
that
on
you're
DoorDash trying to order food.
Yeah,
I'm on
we were
Are you
DoorDash
really?
trying to figure
sneaking up
it
on
out.
the back of you before.
I know. I'm hungry. I'm hungry.
Do we all
No,
have
we're just
any
gonna
we're winding down. Do we all have some closing thoughts, I guess, or anything else that you want to say?
I'll just say this for anybody that's on the call or listens to this later. If you feel you need help, please call us. Okay. And if it's not paranormal help, we'll never turn you aside. We'll try to point you in the right direction or help you get the help that you need. Okay. And we never charge for that help. It's very important. If someone is suffering from what they believe is a paranormal affliction, be it demonic, I don't know. I mean, just please get in touch with us. There are a lot of people, gifted people inside this foundation and out, and we're hoping to grow. So if anybody out there isn't a member and wants to join, please do.
But we're extremely careful about who joins.
Yes, we're very picky. Yeah. So hopefully I won't be doing the interview because I'm very picky. Listen, but all kidding aside, we are here to carry on the legacy of Ed and Lorraine Warren. Chris, being their biological grandson, I believe I was their adopted grandson. That's what Lorraine used to tell me, because I've known them since I was 18 years old. So I've known them my entire adult life. And I thank God every day for them. And I know they're with me to help protect me when I'm helping you folks. So, that's all I have to say right now.
I'll say something real quick because it piggybacks on yours. Another thing too, though, is as a client, you do have to listen to what we tell you to do. You can't. There's reasons why we ask you to do certain things. It's not because we want you, but you have to be willing to help yourself. Because at the end of the day, any paranormal solution, if you do have a legit paranormal issue in your house, you are going to have to be empowered to keep it out, whether it be some lifestyle changes or energy changes or something like that. At the end of the day, we may be able to come and remove something, but you're going to have to keep it out. So we do ask our clients to do a lot of work because it's very important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, for me, the foundation's been a blessing. There was a comment here. I think someone requested help. I don't know if it was Erica Frisbee, something about private messaging her. I don't know if it was her or someone else. And then someone said, Jenny Sullivan, I have so many questions on demonic. Worked in Ireland with my own team, and we try to
get a
talk
hold
to
of
demonic.
us.
Yeah, get a hold of us. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about the demonic and all that stuff. It's not as rare as people think it is. But I would finish with this because I actually have to get ready for an early morning flight. The foundation. Where
are you going, by the way?
Well, I am going to Virginia Beach to meet you and Joe Frankie and Jeff Schlachter.
Really?
So, yes.
I didn't sign up for that.
What are we doing there?
So we are going to be working with Flumeri Promotions. We are going to be working an event at the Beacon Theater in Hopewell, Virginia. So if you're in that area, there are some tickets available. We're going to be giving some lectures, some classes, giving some information on how to conduct investigations, proper ethics. And then after that, you'll have the privilege of conducting an investigation with the Warren Legacy Foundation and RTL Paranormal. So if you're in the Virginia area, stop by. But
and we're also helping to make someone's wish come true. Ken, you want to tell them about that?
Yeah, so we have a 43-year-old man who has stage 4 cancer and he is dying. And his final wish was to conduct a paranormal investigation with the Warren Legacy Foundation. So we are going to make his dream come true. He's going to be gifted swag bags. And on his final days, he just wants to do an investigation. And we just want to make him happy and give him the peace that he deserves. So when he crosses over, he can have comfort in knowing that
I
he
know
did
I'm honored to
his final
be a
wish.
part of that. So
Yeah,
uh,
so
I'm
so
very
no,
honored.
it's a beautiful thing, but the foundation, for me, it's always been life changing. It's a wonderful thing. It's given me the opportunity to network with other people, gentlemen like this, and even all the other members have been remarkable and outstanding. And for me, it was a big thing because I'm a combat veteran. I've been injured in the military, and so I struggled a lot. But the foundation helped me personally get back on track and finish my studies. And because of the foundation, I am where I'm at right now. So definitely reach out to us. We are professionals. We are ethical. We will do the best that we can. But we will be honest with you.
Mhm.
Honesty is our thing. So,
Anything less would be disrespectful.
yeah. So please
And
take that advice like Jeff
counterproductive.
says. Yeah. Counterproductive and counterintuitive. So
Yeah.
thank you everyone for
Mhm.
listening.
I just wanted to look at Lisa's got a comment. Lisa, if you're in you're coming to Connecticut Saturday, I will be in Virginia. But if you're around next week, get a hold of me. I live in Wallingford, Connecticut, so I'm about 20 minutes from Milford. Sorry, I just wanted to get that in there.
The lecture, Lisa, is Saturday.
Yeah.
In Virginia.
It's
That's
an
why I won't
event,
be here.
actually. But here's my final thoughts. Somebody, or very early on, I think it was Nicole Gaspard, asked, "How can you tell a reputable team from somebody who's trying to take advantage of you?" Well, that's hard. I would suggest you start by contacting us. Yeah, that sounded egotistical as soon as I said it. But I know us, and I know how careful we are about who represents us. Um, Otherwise, look at their presence online. Look at their videos on YouTube. What are they doing? What are they putting out? Are they putting out things about their cases? Are they exposing families? Are they ramping up activity? You know, because if that's what they're doing, you don't want anything to do with them. If they're charging, don't go near them.
I would add a good
That
test
up,
is
ask that up front.
if they cause you fear. That's a no for me right there. And I'm
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt. And go ahead.
No, you're right. That's our first job is to minimize your fear. It's to help educate you, to help you to understand what you're going through so that you're not overwhelmed by terror. Because the moment you become more terrified, you are feeding into this, and you can take something that is benign and turn it into something terrifying. And I'm not saying only because you're afraid. I mean, you can literally, your energy can change what's happening in that home and turn it into something bad. You
It'll
can
feed
make
off that energy. Yep.
case.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because then it starts affecting your home, your environment, the atmosphere. All the ions in the air. It's amazing what the power of the mind can do. And if you can minimize that fear, that's the most important thing.
the truth is, the paranormal is influenced by our cultural and religious beliefs. It manifests according to us, according to our belief systems. So that also includes whether or not we're afraid or not afraid. So keep that in mind. Another thing I just want to leave everyone with, and this is something my grandmother actually said as well. If you have something going on in your home, the very first thing you want to do is clean it. Clean your home, get rid of all the extra clutter. Truly clean it out and start open the windows, open the blinds, get light into the house. Play happy music that makes you want to sing and dance. Watch comedies that make you want to laugh. Stop watching paranormal programs and horror films, and stop listening to death metal. Listen to
satanic music. Yeah.
Yeah.
and if you're gonna have arguments, take them outside, resolve them before you come back inside. Make love, show love to one another. That's the first thing you do. More often than not, the homes we get involved with, there's some conflict going on. There's something that's tearing the family apart. And it's a question of chicken or the egg. And if we can help them first to heal themselves, then it makes getting rid of that haunting far easier. Far easier.
I'm just reading Jenny's comment. Sorry. Yeah, Jenny, reach out to us through our Facebook Messenger.
You can have an attachment from something you've been working on.
Yep. Yeah.
You folks,
sure.
You really need to protect yourself. And if you're not sure how, contact us, please.
Yep.
And Aurora's correct too. Guided meditations on YouTube or doyogawithme.com has hundreds of guided meditations. So that's another good one as well. All right, folks, thank you for joining us this evening. God bless you all. We'll be back in 2 weeks. What's our topic in 2 weeks? Does anyone
I don't even know. I don't remember. No, but it's on our page.
All right. Hey, it's going to be a good one, folks.
That's right. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be
well,
way
I'm
better
sure
than
we'll get
this
off topic though.
Yeah.
Well,
probably get off topic anyway.
We don't do that kind of thing. By the way, the last comment that just popped up, I want to bring attention to. This is Archbishop Christian Camilo Piedrejita Montoya. He is our regional director of services for all of South America. He is a very dear friend and brother of mine in Bogota, Colombia. And actually, for his birthday last year, we spent it in a haunted brothel.
That's who that is?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I've seen the videos. I got you.
How many people can say that they spent a night in a haunted brothel with an archbishop?
Not too
I
many.
love my life.
because we're open-minded. We don't fall under that narrative of this is this and this is that.
Yep.
Bear hugs for everybody.
God bless you all.
All right.
We'll talk to you
All right,
again.
everyone.
God bless everybody.
Good evening.
God bless. Be blessed. Stay safe.
Bye-bye.
Love.